Ukraine's crisis is really important, but it's also complicated. Here's what you need to know. Ukraine is an Eastern European country, about the size of Texas, and has a population of about 45 million. Before it broke away from the Soviet Union in 1991, it used to be called the Ukraine, a name that probably came from the word for borderland. Which makes sense because it's wedged between Europe on the west and Russia on the east. Well, that's a big part of the protest now. Ukraine has been pulled between both sides for a very long time. Russia spent 2.5 centuries trying to make it more Russian, going all the way back to Catherine the Great. So when the current president, Viktor Yanukovych, rejected an economic deal with the European Union and accepted a $15 billion bailout from Vladimir Putin, it looked to a lot of Ukrainians like he'd sold out their country to the old Russian overlords. That's when they started protesting. Here's the thing. Most of the protests were only in the country's west. Ukraine's history between Europe and Russia left it culturally and politically divided, creating an identity crisis. Because it's still unresolved. On the west, most people speak native Ukrainian and see their country as more European. On the east, people speak mostly Russian and see their country as sharing a cultural heritage with Russia. The president, Yanukovych, comes from the Russian-speaking side of the country. He's never really been popular in the West. The country's economy is in really rough shape, and a lot of Ukrainians saw Yanukovych as corrupt even before these protests. The protests got much bigger in mid-January when Yanukovych passed a law cracking down on public demonstrations, free speech, and even wearing helmets, which explains the SAUCEPANs. Even Russian-speaking people in the east started protesting. Pretty much the whole country is fed up with him now. The law has been scaled down, but the protests have been scaled up, and clashes with security forces are getting more and more violent.